Financial support for the production of Issues in Education is provided by
the Florida State University License Plate. Your FSU license plate supports scholarships for students who enrich and contribute to our communities. Special programs, gift certificates, and rebates for first-time buyers online at fsu.edu/mytag.
Coming up today on Issues in Education, FSU's quest to be in the top 25 of public universities, why it's important, how they plan to do it, and what a group made up of 300,000 members is doing to help make it happen. Welcome to Issues in Education. I'm Suzanne Smith, alongside my co-host, the Florida State University President, Dr. Eric Barron. It's logical to assume that you would use a national college ranking to help you determine which university to attend. But how can it help you after you've graduated? In February, Top 50 school FSU announced a new plan to raise their status into the rankings to become in the top 25. One of their biggest supporters in this quest is the 300,000-member FSU Alumni Association. Joining us today is FSU National Alumni Association board member Carl Adams. He's here to talk about why the alumni are behind this plan and how they see it helping people who have already graduated from the university. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let's talk first about the initiative. How is FSU hoping to reach the top 25 in the national rankings?
Well, we did the resolution in the hope that we'd get some public attention to that, and we also get it out to all of our members, 300,000 all over the country, and we have access to those through the email, and we have a website. We hope they read often, and the whole idea was to get them involved in what Dr. Barron and his staff are trying to do over at the legislature.
Well, what are the benefits to a university to be in the top 25?
Well, to me, as a graduate of Florida State, it's just increased the value to my degree. I mean, everyone enjoys the benefit of having gone to a prestigious university. It still is important in our society, and if nothing else is that. But beyond that, our families, our children get the benefit of an increased education in an area that perhaps they would like to be in that may not be offered at the present time.
You know, a lot of people don't think about this, but sort of imagine you have your degree from Florida State University. Does anybody come up to you and say, how good was it when you got your degree? Nobody asks that question. That what they're thinking about is, what is FSU like today? And so what FSU is like today translates back to 300,000 people in terms of how they connect to their school, how someone in their employment area looks at them, how they feel about their education and what their job potentials are, even if you're a graduate who finished schools decades ago.
Well, one of the aspects of the initiative involves becoming a state and national leader in student career readiness and job placement. So when alumni look at their alma maters, do they look at them for people to hire as well? Do they look at career readiness for students coming out, and they go to FSU or their alma maters to say, hey, this is what I'm looking for? What are they telling you?
I think they do. As a matter of fact, when you start off with the thing in common that you both went to the same school. So there's so much you can talk about, even though maybe you never met before. And then I have a business, and I want to get started with someone that I'm comfortable with. Where else to start with someone who's qualified that went to the same school I did? And it just begins at that level. The other part is, I think, depending on what the school has to offer, and it's what Dr. Barron and the others are trying to do now, is raise that bar to where we can have people in the STEM programs and the other economic benefits that are out in society and get these people involved in them, and our students have that opportunity, which they haven't had in the past.
You know, it is an interesting thing because we believe this has a lot of potential. So I'll just give you an example. We're trying to enhance the career focus, the career center for our students, to enable them to have contact with different job opportunities and also to be ready to apply for them. We're trying to track our students better. For the first time, we've done a survey to see when someone graduates exactly where they're going. Normally, people don't fill out this survey. We told them we really needed it for for reasons of top 25. But the third part about it is hiring someone within the Alumni Association that focuses purely on careers for our students. And it's exactly to make this kind of connection that Carl is talking about. And so we think it enhances the job potential of our students anytime we connect them to our alumni.
One of the things I think is really interesting about this is the Alumni Association thought so much of this initiative that they created a resolution for it. And so is this something that the Alumni Association does a lot? They say, okay, we're going to create a resolution, and how'd that come about?
Well, I've been on the board for 3 years, and we have never done it before in my term there. I think it's one of those things you need to do from time to time, but you can also overdo it. But I think what makes this one important is that it lets the legislature directly know what the 300,000 people that graduated from FSU think about what they need and what they're trying to do over there. And if it's that many people interested, it must be a good subject for us to be involved in. So I think it gets the message out in a form that most people will at least glance at a resolution, whereas a press release they may or may not,
What does the resolution say?
Well, it in effect lays out the history of FSU and our desires to increase in the STEM programs and the others, and the fact that we have all these graduates and they want to see our university grow. And it's a whereas type situation, but it lays it out very neatly and using some of the guidelines that have come from the President's office to suggest to everyone what we're trying to get to.
Take a guess at how many individuals, say in Florida, and I hesitate to be so blunt as to say who vote, that this might touch, because you think about the number of alumni in Florida, you think about the fact that you may be married to someone who cares deeply about FSU but didn't graduate. That's the case of my own spouse.
Mine too.
You may have children that are at FSU but not yet alumni. There's only 41,000 of those. And then you also imagine the number of people whose kids aspire to go to Florida State and want to make sure they have a did the Alumni Association sort of imagine how many people were really actually keenly interested in this topic in the state?
I don't know that I've given any thought to the number, but when you think in terms of how people are influenced, I like to think of what we've accomplished here through the booster program as far as knowledge of our university. If you could ever get people on the street as interested in our engineering school, for example, as they are interested in a football game, and I think there's a way to do that, then we would have all those natural who want to know what's going on. But so many of those folks are in the family, and maybe one booster can affect 10 people, none of which may have gone to Florida State. But if we've got something going that's going to enhance the university and he's willing to share that, or we're willing to share that, then I think you get their attention. It certainly would run into the millions, I think, in terms of number of people that are influenced by what's going on in all the universities. And if we get some frontline coverage, at least for that day, we maybe got more coverage than someone else.
Well, what are you asking alumni to do to help support the initiative?
Well, we asked them to certainly go to our website, because during the session, the website is updated every week about what's going on.
Now you're talking about the Advocate for Florida State.fsu.edu website.
And if people don't remember, they can just Google Advocate for Florida State and get it. And it has complete coverage on what's going on in the legislature. But it also demonstrates how to reach your legislators, even though you might not know the name of that person. We have a complete, all you do is hit the area you live in, and that information pops up. We encourage them then to make personal contact, especially if you have some means of knowing that person other than just as an elected official you read about. And that happens most often because so many legislators come from our neighborhoods. And everybody, almost everyone, knows somebody who knows one of those. And using those contacts, so that's the method we've asked our alumni to use, to try to just let them know personally how important what they're doing.
And in fact, Advocate for Florida State is an alumni association project, is it not?
Yes,
Funded by members of the Alumni Association.
Right. It's about 2 years old now, a little over 2 years old.
There's also a link from the Alumni Association website to Advocate for Florida State. So that's, I thought that was another interesting.
It's tied everywhere, we hope.
Well, when you're talking to people, what are the alumni saying about this when you tell them about what the Top 25 initiative is? What kind of responses are you getting?
Well, I think they're beginning to understand what we're talking about. I think initially we kind of got flattened because no money was available when the idea first came out, and then the governor vetoed the preeminence bill, which we can talk about.
That was last year.
That was last year, and I think that was a blow. So I find now the alumni I'm talking to are excited that we are really moving on with this program, and that there may be an opportunity to get some help from the legislature to make it happen.
The preeminence bill is another legislative priority for the university. Is that something the Alumni Association is supporting as well on a separate level, or is this all part of the same thing?
It's all part of the same program. It of course, was there last year in bill form and passed, and the governor then vetoed it because he didn't, well, we think he wasn't clear on the fact that it didn't have as much to do with tuition as he thought it did. The bill's very interesting because it allows universities that meet certain criteria to kind of have more control of their own destiny, including raising some tuition if they need to. Right now, only Florida State and the University of Florida would qualify, but it's set up so that other universities that want to attain that can qualify.
And in fact, these two things fit closely together. Mm-hmm. They're a different path in terms of how you move forward. With the Top 25 bill, the idea is that you have a whole group of metrics that are compared to national rankings or to the American Association of Universities, which is a prestigious invitation-only group. And so that's a plan that says, okay, in order to move up, we need to move this metric from here to here and this metric from here to here. And the preeminence bill basically suggests that here's 12 metrics that are important in terms of prestige and national ranking, and any university that reaches those should have more flexibility and should have resources to continue to excel. And so it's two different models of how you move forward, but both a potent opportunity for the university to advance its national reputation and what we deliver to students.
The Alumni Association is really harnessing the power of its members. Is this really one of those reasons that the Alumni Association exists? I mean, people always think of it as a source to find out about social events or when they go back to campus, but this is sort of, it seems like one of the reasons that it's out there.
Well, I think it's becoming more and more important to have that. Years ago, I suppose we all wanted to know when the next ball game was going to occur and what kind of party we were having at the football game. But now there's such a large investment, and there's so many things in your university that are going on now that didn't go on when I was there, for example. And so it just opens up the whole world to you more than just a sporting event or a social event, if you will.
You know, if you just think about some of the other activities that the Alumni Association has been doing. There's Advocate for Florida State. Here is this resolution. You've just done a survey of all of your alumni to find out what's truly important to them. You've been establishing recognitions for younger alumni. Why do all of those different things?
Well, I think it goes back to the training that we had at home. You do those things so that the people following along will have some pride in what you've done and what they can participate in. I've spent all these years supporting Florida State, but I didn't have the time to be on the alumni board. But I volunteered once I did because I just wanted to know more about what was going on out here. And I hope that goes to everyone else that has some kind of connection or wants to have a connection to the university. We do have a lot of programs going, and we're all very busy, but it's a good kind of busy. And you can get excited about the fact that if you get one little victory, for all this time you spent, someone else can benefit, and not just yourself.
What do you want people to do to help strengthen the FSU Alumni Association?
I would urge anybody that is an alumni of this university to go ahead and join. It's so cheap. I mean, it's such a bargain that they can then find out what's really going on and pick and choose. Maybe you don't want to do any more than just be an active, if you're a doctor or you're a lawyer, we have both, and you just want to know some more people who are in school here, or you want to know what kind of programs are doing. You don't have to do anything. You can be a member and know what's going on, pick and choose what you would like to be involved in. But everything you do, including that dues you pay to be an alumni, is enhancing everything we're trying to do as a group. So it's a collective benefit, even if you only pay 1 year's dues at a time, you know.
There are many people that suggest Alumni Association are friend-raising for the university. Do you think that's really the best description?
Not at all. Not at all. I would be disappointed if my family thought that the only reason I was doing it was for friends. I mean, certainly if there's a benefit, I've been in business all my life, and certainly there are people who benefit from being an alumni for their business, just in the contacts. But that's what it's all about, because these programs we want the university to have out here are those programs that are going to enhance our economy. And therefore, hopefully my neighbor, you know, if because he knows me, I can tell him he needs to contact so-and-so, and it works for him, then fine, that's just an additional benefit. But there's so much going on, you can't stay uninvolved if you'll just pay the dues and join.
Thank you very much for joining us. We've been talking about the FSU Alumni Association and their support of FSU's new Top 25 initiative. To learn more about the association, go to alumni.fsu.edu. When we come back, Dr. Barron and I will talk one-on-one about more issues in education.
A spirit roams these parts. A spirit of respect, competition, and academic greatness. Some call our spirit myth. Others call it legend. We call it Florida State University.
Welcome back to Issues in Education. I'm Suzanne Smith, talking with Dr. Eric Barron, president of Florida State University. Dr. Barron, we've been talking about the Top 25 initiative. FSU is currently in the top 50. Why was it important for FSU to create this plan to move to the top 25?
Okay, so one of the things that's quite fascinating about all that data out there is it tells you that students aspire to the highest ranked university they can go to. They may have other factors like wanting to live close to home, or other things that we don't control. But of all the variables we control, that is their keen interest. I want to go to the best school that I can. So if you want to keep the best and brightest in the state of Florida should have very highly ranked universities. Faculty feel the same way. So if you want that talent pool that's teaching your children, you also want to be as highly ranked as you possibly can be, because the faculty are attracted to colleagues that are also exceptional.
Now, what key things do you want people to know about the Top 25 initiative, about the plan that you've got in place?
Okay, so the plan actually comes in two parts, and rankings aren't everything. Just despite the fact that I told you about rankings, they're not everything. Part one is, how does Florida State move the rankings? Well, one of the things that you discover is that in almost every single quantitative indicator, our graduation rates, our retention rates, the success of our students by economic class, all the things that you can measure very directly, we're actually a top 35 university, a top 30 university. All of the financial factors on what we invest back in students and how we pay our faculty, and some of the other things like research dollars, we rank not nearly as high. I mean, this is one of the reasons why we're listed as the most efficient university in delivering quality, because we're hitting all of those metrics, even though we don't really have the resources that quite match up to it. So we have this deliberate effort to begin to invest in particular fields that we know are a part of the needs of the state, primarily science, technology, engineering, mathematics, those areas. We have a deliberate investment there that we know will move the bar on the ranking significantly. But we've said rankings aren't all, and they're not the end all. We've got to make sure that our students also get good jobs. So there's a second piece here of how to introduce career placement and career planning into the curriculum, to create the entrepreneurial university, which is a part of our big idea set, by making sure that our students, say in engineering, have business courses. That makes them more employable. So we have a two-pronged attack. One that's deliberately focused on what it takes to move us in the rankings, and the other is to make sure our students get good jobs.
Well, and how are you convincing the legislature that this is what you need, or what it, you know? How are you
Okay,
doing
so there's a lot of different pieces to this. One is, look how efficient we are. We know how to spend a dollar. We're going to deliver quality on that dollar. The second thing is, let's look at all those metrics. So I'll just give you an example. One of the things that they look at, the rankings look at, is based on the economic distribution of your students, what their family's income is like, they predict what your graduation rate is going to be. And then they look to see whether you exceed that prediction or you don't meet it. And you gain or lose points in the rankings because of that. Well, believe it or not, Florida State is ranked number 6 among the top 45 publics in the nation in delivering a high graduation rate, despite having a lot of students that are economically disadvantaged. So we get big points for that. So to talk to a legislator and say, look at how well we're doing on all of these quantitative measures. Now, if you think about it, one way to save the state money, one way to save a parent money is retain that student and graduate them. If you don't graduate them, you wasted the parents' money and you wasted the state's money. So we're saying, look how good we're doing on these. Now look at those areas for which we fall behind.
The Alumni Association, as we saw, has been very supportive in this plan. Why was it so important that the FSU alumni get behind this initiative?
Okay, first of all, literally, you look at 300,000 members. 2/3 of them reside in the state of Florida, okay? And if you look at those 2/3, they're married, they have children, they have children that are aspiring to go to Florida State. Florida State is connected throughout this state. So here the alumni are saying, we really want to make sure that our degree continues to be highly valued. As a matter of fact, the Alumni Association did a survey, and the number one item for greater emphasis by every single age group, it doesn't matter whether you're a World War II vet or whether you graduated 5 years ago, is enhance the economic quality of Florida State University, because that translates to dollars for all 300,000 of those alumni. So it's an extremely important topic to them, but from our viewpoint, it's also a sign that all these people that vote, this is what they want. They want a great school.
April begins the second month for the 2013 legislative session, and you've talked a lot about the 3 priorities of
Yes.
FSU has had this session, but there's still ways to go. There's still another month here. But where do we stand as of this taping day on March 29th?
Okay, so we have several issues. One is $300 million that was taken one time last year. There's a lot of worry that even though they said it was one time, that it wouldn't be. The governor returns $118 million of that to the universities, and then the rest of it through a performance formula. Now, Florida State would probably do just fine with that, although the exact rules aren't clear. Both chambers in the legislature have the $300 million coming back to the universities the way it left the universities. And that's very important because Florida State was very frugal. We were really making sure we were always ready for a rainy day. So we lost more than the other universities. Getting that back is extremely important, and so far that looks good. The second part of it was a promise from university presidents, all of them, that we wouldn't even ask for a tuition increase if the legislature and the governor added resources, permanent resources to our budget. And so you're seeing various proposals that are out there that would enhance the revenue of the universities. But in particular for Florida State, the preeminence bill has been reintroduced, not a tuition increase, but rather an appropriation. And in the Senate, that would add $15 million recurring dollars to Florida State, and in the House, 12.5. Okay, this would have a huge impact on the university and this effort to move us into the top 25. It's a very realistic target for us to approach top 25.
And you're
but
trying to do that in 5 years, the top 25 in 5
basically,
years.
it would probably take you 5 years to be able to move that far. So this is after many years of cuts, 6 in a row, this is an opportunity to really begin to invest in innovation again. The third part of it is how are we going to maintain our physical plant? And PICO dollars, which is the source of funds, which is a tax based on landlines. Well, we all know the landlines are disappearing. There's not generating a lot of revenue, has gone to zero. And so basically, how are we going to manage all of these buildings that are now accumulating deferred maintenance?
Because PICO money can only be used for the buildings
for maintenance and construction.
So,
right.
so that's sort of where the problem is, and if the money's not there, you have
and
nothing
it's
to
our only source of maintaining or constructing an academic building. We can do other buildings other ways, but the only way for an academic building. And I'm very happy that the House has introduced legislation that it would make it easier for us to bond construction. And the House has also placed some funds in there for critical deferred maintenance. Now we'll see how that emerges with the Senate. But on each one of these key goals, we see progress. And I will tell you, we have some real champions in the legislature that deserve our praise for focusing on this topic.
Let's show the advocateforfloridastate.fsu website one more time, because if anybody wants to keep track of what's going on, that's the place to go to keep updated.
It is, and not just keep track, let people know. When you see the preeminence bill come forward, thank your legislator for doing that. Thank the Speaker of the House. Thank the President of the Senate, because this wouldn't have advanced without them.
Thank you very much, President Barron. That's our time for now. Please join us again next month for more Issues in Education. You can watch the premiere episode of Issues in Education the first Friday of every month at 7:30 p.m. That means you can see the next new episode on Friday, May 3rd on WFSU-TV. We hope you'll join us as we discuss the latest developments in higher education happening around the state and across the country. If you have questions that you would like us to address on this program, you can email us at issues@wfsu.org. Again, that's issues@wfsu.org. If you would like to see past episodes from Issues in Education, head to the President's website at president.fsu.edu. I'm Suzanne Smith with the Florida State University President, Dr. Eric Barron, for Issues in Education. We'll see you next time.
Financial support for the production of Issues in Education is provided by
the Florida State University License Plate. Your FSU license plate supports scholarships for students who enrich and contribute to our communities. Special programs, gift certificates, and rebates for first-time buyers online at fsu.edu/mytag.